By 2026, the Russia-Ukraine war had entered a new phase. Rather than relying solely on massive armored assaults and trench warfare, Ukraine increasingly adopted long-range precision strikes, drone swarms, electronic warfare, and attacks against Russia's logistics network. Military analysts widely observed that the focus shifted from capturing territory at any cost to systematically degrading the enemy's ability to sustain combat operations. Among the year's most consequential campaigns was Ukraine's effort to isolate Crimea, a sustained operation combining air, sea, and deep strike drone attacks against Russian supply routes, fuel depots, air defenses, and naval infrastructure. While no single engagement defined the campaign, the operation represented one of the most strategically significant military efforts of 2026. Since Russia annexed Crimea in 2014, the peninsula has served as one of Moscow's most important military hubs. It houses major naval facilities, air bases, ammunition depots, and logistics centers supporting Russian forces across southern Ukraine. For Ukraine, isolating Crimea meant more than symbolic value. Weakening Russian logistics on the peninsula could reduce Moscow's ability to reinforce frontline troops, complicate naval operations in the Black Sea, and force Russia to divert valuable air defense assets away from other sectors. Unlike the large mechanized offensives that characterized earlier stages of the war, the 2026 campaign relied heavily on emerging technologies. Ukraine employed large numbers of domestically produced drones, long-range strike systems, maritime drones, and electronic warfare capabilities. Instead of attempting costly frontal assaults, Ukrainian forces repeatedly targeted logistics hubs, fuel storage sites, bridges, radar systems, and supply convoys supporting Russian operations. Military observers noted that this approach reflected a broader shift toward attritional warfare centered on logistics rather than territory alone. One of the defining features of the operation was Ukraine's expanding drone campaign in and around Crimea and the Black Sea. According to Ukrainian officials, specialized drone units launched sustained attacks against maritime targets, logistics, infrastructure, and vessels supporting Russian military operations. Independent verification of every claimed strike remains difficult during wartime, but multiple reports indicate that the campaign significantly increased pressure on Russian logistics and maritime activity. The operation demonstrated how relatively inexpensive unmanned systems could challenge larger conventional military forces while reducing risks to Ukrainian personnel. Russia responded with intensified missile and drone strikes against Ukrainian cities, ports, and military infrastructure. Ukrainian ports on the Black Sea faced repeated attacks, while air defense systems remained under constant pressure from waves of missiles and drones. At the same time, Moscow reinforced air defenses around Crimea and continued efforts to protect critical logistics routes connecting the peninsula with mainland Russia. Although the campaign did not produce a decisive breakthrough on the battlefield, analysts argue that its significance lay elsewhere. By forcing Russia to defend an expanding number of high-value targets, Ukraine increased the operational costs of sustaining Russian forces. Long-range strikes also highlighted the growing importance of drones, electronic warfare, and precision targeting in modern conflict. Several defense analysts have suggested that 2026 may be remembered less for dramatic territorial changes and more for demonstrating how technological innovation can reshape the balance between larger and smaller military powers. The campaign to isolate Crimea stands as one of the defining military operations of the Ukraine war in 2026. Rather than seeking rapid territorial gains, Ukraine focused on weakening Russia's logistics, naval capabilities, and operational endurance through sustained long-range strikes. The operation underscored a broader transformation in modern warfare. Precision drones, electronic warfare, intelligence, integration, and attacks on supply networks increasingly proved as influential as tanks and artillery. Whether the campaign ultimately changes the strategic trajectory of the war remains uncertain. However, it has already demonstrated that future conflicts may be decided as much by technology and logistics as by conventional battlefield victories.